lead us to a situation where no one is still carrying the same optimism that we carried by the end of last year.
Right. Well, since we're talking optimistically, definitely it has been a very optimistic year for the Egyptian-Russian relations. We've achieved a lot together, and recently President Putin had visited Egypt, and the resumption of the flights is considered also to be a very important story and a hit, though it's going to start in February 2018, but however it was clinched in 2017. So let's watch, Excellency, a report highlighting the optimism in the future of Egyptian-Russian relations, and we'll be back.
During Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Egypt, he asserted his country's aim to expand the scope of cooperation in this field and that it is prepared to provide Egypt with the latest military technology in different missile and defense systems. This is beside providing assistance in reviving Egypt's military industries and considering new deals which can heighten Egypt's military abilities, actively contribute to upgrade the Egyptian army and update it with the latest defense systems. Egypt and Russia signed an initial agreement under which Russia will build and finance Egypt's first nuclear power plant in the city of Doba. The signing of the agreement is a crucial step towards raising the status of Russian-Egyptian ties to a consistent strategic alliance between the two countries that could last for centuries. Nuclear technology cooperation leads to long-term strategic partnerships, and this project, for one, includes establishing 4 units over the course of 10 to 12 years. And such units are scheduled to operate for 80 years from the date of launching the first of them in 2022. The signing of Doba agreement asserts the independence of Egyptian decision-making. It also affirms that the Russian approach towards Egypt was not merely a transient impulse, but rather a solid alliance growing stronger on many fronts. Egyptian-Russian relations are growing deeper, and this is particularly evident in a joint press release issued by the presidential offices of both countries. The visit also included signing the agreement for the Egyptian-Russian Industrial City, another homogeneous project which will add considerable dimensions to the economic and technological partnership between the two countries. The city is planned to be built east of Port Said in the Suez Canal corridor region. It will be built on a 5 million kilometers area over the course of 13 years, with investments of up to $7 billion and construction costs of up to $190 million. The city will reinforce Egypt's role as a window of African and Middle Eastern investments. The visit by Sergei Shoigu, Russia's Minister of Defense, to Cairo in October heightened the sentiment of optimism about the future of Egyptian-Russian relations. What further heightened this state of optimism was the 4th session of the Egyptian-Russian Military and Technological Cooperation Committee. During this event, an aviation safety agreement was signed between both countries, whereby they agreed to resume mutual aviation services as a means to deepen their strategic alliance in the face of terrorism. Russia possesses very advanced intelligence and information apparatuses as well as up-to-date technologies. In addition, the Russian view on terrorist organizations matches Egypt's. Russia has a very distinguished experience in fighting terrorism by security and developmental means, owing to its internal ongoing anti-terror battles. The volume of trade between the two countries at present, $4 billion, is incomparable to potential opportunities in the Russian market for a huge range of Egyptian agricultural and consumer products. Finally, an agreement was inked between the two countries, whereby a free trade zone was established between Egypt and the Eurasian Economic Union, which includes Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan and Armenia, in addition to Kyrgyzstan. This deal will open new markets for Egyptian products and promote Egyptian exports to Russia. Additionally, it was agreed that Russia will partake in Egypt's project of establishing an international logistics center for storing and trading in grains. Russia is also considered a strong military partner for Egypt. Besides this, military cooperation in the field of training still goes on, and the first of such joint Egyptian-Russian exercises was the Friendship Bridge maneuver in 2015, which took place on the Mediterranean coasts during June 6 to 14th, followed by the Defenders of Friendship maneuver in 2016.
كلنا بنجمع عن محبة هذه الأرض.
مواقفك كلها واضحة جدا.
القرار ده لم يكن موفقا في توقيته. الشعور بالرضا يؤدي إلى الشعور بالسعادة.
لا تختلف الأديان على عروبة القدس.
واعرفي كده، اورشليم لنا هناك مطران قبطي.
سيادة الرئيس مهتم جدا بالشباب.
خدمة الشباب دايما خدمة ممتعة.
المقولة دي هزت كيان المصريين.
هنصلي في الشوارع. أنا النهاردة شفت 800 ملاك. أنا سعيد للغاية يعني إن أنا أكون وياكم على الشبكات المصرية.
Welcome back and discussing further. Egypt opens up to the whole world, and Excellency, we were talking about Egyptian-Russian relations in the report, and definitely we took great steps in 2017, moving forward within the framework of a sense of partnership with Russia, a win-win situation.
Yeah, it is a win-win situation. Egypt, in its quest to establish itself and to regain economic strength and to stabilize the region, need to be partners to all the parties in the region and in the world stage. You cannot ignore the United States, you cannot ignore Russia, and Russia is an active member of the Middle East settlement policies, and she's trying in many fronts to mend fences with Egypt. We have, of course, defense deals, we have the nuclear deal, as well as the economic zone in the Suez Canal region, and I'm sure the return of tourism will usher for a new relations which we are expecting from Russia for quite some time, and I have to say many are impatient in waiting for Russia to take the decision, and finally the decision comes, but still in a stage, in stages, like in February they will return it to the Cairo International Airport, and we hope that Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh will follow suit, but still I have also to express our wish that this step will complete the whole positive picture and strategic hopes that the relations with Russia carries not only to Egypt but to further stabilize the Middle East and to deal with the Syrian file through the Russian participation in many of the world efforts in Asatana or in Sushi for the Syrian opposition. But this front also is very important because it has to do with terrorism, where Russia have stepped in clearly. Of course, the alliance is there for a couple of years with no avail, so it's good that the momentum is carried by Russia have added value to the confrontation of terrorism. And I think we need to work with Russia, if possible, to handle this situation from a point of procurement, point of view, strategies, and friendship, where Egypt, of course, is trying to link with all the parties that can be of a benefit to its economy, to its military, to stabilize the region, being it in our direct neighborhood in Europe or with Russia or with the United States.
Definitely. Another important meetings were the trilateral meetings between the three nations, Egypt, Greece and Cyprus, that had a great political significance and that had important fruits and was reflected definitely in the trilateral meetings and in the relations.
Time and again, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the three leaders of Greece and Cyprus have assured that this kind of cooperation in the Eastern Mediterranean is to stabilize the region and to further explore its economic resources. On top of it is the huge gas discoveries in Cyprus, Egypt, and other parts of this region. So it is a unity of will towards better future to its people and not to threaten relations with any parties, particularly Turkey. So one has to be very clear that this Eastern Mediterranean cooperation is so important, and it is a mechanism that is open to whoever wants to adhere to the good neighborlyhood and they think the settlement of the Cyprus question will help in further stabilize the Eastern Mediterranean, and according to the UN resolutions and within the framework of UN negotiation and mediation. One has also to refer to the economic potential of this region, where Egypt as a liquefaction center can help the new discoveries all over the Eastern Mediterranean. And I'm sure that this new cooperation with the European groupings, being it with Visegrad group in Central Europe or with the Eastern Mediterranean, Cyprus and Greece, with the Nordic countries, is part of Egypt will to work more with the European Union, but with its regional particularity.
Yes, and also other visits took the President to the Asian nations. We're talking China, Vietnam and India. Very important partnership on the road.
Indeed, heading east is one of Egypt's main new directions, and Asia was an integral part of our policy. And I think working towards enhancing relations with Asian nations will render benefit to our economy. We have witnessed now like 20 billion value of new Chinese investments. We have witnessed 15 or 13 to 15 billion balance of trade with China. Again, with India, the historical ties is creating a solid base for future cooperation in all domains. Working also with South Korea and Indonesia, Singapore, where we have received its president I think a few months ago.
Yes.
And I think the direction towards Asia is one of the dimension or the multi-dimensions of the Egyptian foreign policy, which we have a lot of respect and a lot of gains. And as you always say, Taghreed, a win-win situation. And as I always say myself, that Egypt needs all its partners and all its friends in a strategic partnership, being it with Russia, United States, our direct neighbor, as I said, Europe, as well as Asia.
Yeah, the visit of His Holiness the Pope of the Vatican was also very significant in 2017, the messenger of peace coming to Egypt and delivering a message of love and peace from Egypt to the whole world. Was a very significant visit in 2017.
Yes, yes, the Pontiff is the bridge. He is the bridge between cultures and religions and people. And I think this is the crowning of Egypt, the land of peace, efforts to stabilize the region, to end suffering in Palestine, to end suffering in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq, to bring back the Middle East to where it belongs among nations who are questing for peace and stability, for prosperity, and for good neighborhood. I guess the visit of the Pope have added value to this message and have shown Egypt, the land of peace, as a nation that is truly sending and transcending messages all over the Middle East, where the Europeans have a lot of misunderstanding. Not only the Europeans, I have to say, the Western world in general have many misunderstandings. And this message have shown the world that the Pope is challenging terrorism, is assuring that the Middle East are very much ready for dialogue. And I think his meetings with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar and the Pope Tawadros, and of course with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, have shown during all his speeches a will and a spirit of cooperation that we reciprocate, and we admire his personality, his message, his courage to come to the Middle East in the midst of this turmoil and terrorist activities, which is very much a new phenomena and nothing to do with our culture, our religion. It is a phenomena that has been with us for quite some time, but we are in the forefront of confronting it on behalf of the world community, on behalf of the region. And Egypt is leading this battle, and we will win because we are at the right side.
Yeah, definitely we will be winning with the sense of awareness of the people and their understanding and belonging to this nation, knowing how to combat terrorism. We're combating terrorism also through development, which is also a very important note, through building new Egypt. Ambassador, more than one important hit actually in 2017, our relations with Africa, Africans coming to Egypt through the COMESA. We do have more than one important milestone that has happened, but before that, let's have this report that wraps up more the end of Egypt's membership to the Security Council, and we'll be back.
That the Egyptian diplomacy was able to present the contents of Egypt's foreign policy on the interests of the high interests of the nation is a professional performance, as Egypt's presidency of the Council twice in May 2016 and August 2017 provided an opportunity for effective action that could place issues affecting the security and stability of the region at the top of the Council's priorities. The issue of combating terrorism came at the head of these files. In May 2016, the Egyptian presidency of the Security Council called for holding a ministerial debate under the chairmanship of Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri on means of combating terrorist ideologies with the participation of more than 70 countries. Such a meeting was a successful start for Egypt's efforts towards putting the intellectual and ideological side at the forefront of the United Nations' attention and efforts in the field of combating terrorism, which led to the unanimous adoption by the Council of Resolution number 2354 on combating terrorism in May 2017. Egypt also succeeded during its second term of office in August 2017 to work for adopting resolution number 2370 on preventing terrorists from acquiring weapons. As part of its chairmanship of the Counter-Terrorism Committee, the Egyptian delegation was able to push a number of pivotal issues related to terrorism to the forefront of the Security Council's concerns, such as preventing the financing of terrorism, preventing the use of the internet and social media for terrorism, and also preventing the safe haven of terrorists. On the main regional issues, the report pointed out that Egypt was keen throughout its membership to support every effort to alleviate the suffering of the Syrian people, and its capacity as a human rights representative within the Council, in partnership with Spain and New Zealand and Sweden and Japan, it attracted the world attention to the humanitarian situation in Syria. With regard to the situation in Libya, the discussions concerning the resolutions and statements issued by the Council confirmed the pivotal role of Egypt and its vision in dealing with this issue, particularly resolution number 2292 of June 2016. The report added that the Palestinian issue has always been a top priority for Egyptian membership. Despite the failure of the Council to move the peace process forward for well-known political considerations that have imposed itself on the agenda of the member states, Egypt has been keen over the past 2 years to preserve the main references in tackling Palestinian cause. Egypt's membership in the Security Council has also provided an opportunity to contribute effectively to various discussions and negotiations on African issues and to express the continent's concerns and priorities, which has been widely appreciated by African brothers. Egypt played an important role in reaching consensus within the Council on Resolution 2327 on Southern Sudan and in drafting Resolution 2389 as the first resolution adopted by the Council with an aim of promoting stability in the Great Lakes region. Egypt also contributed to arranging the Council's visit to Burundi in January 2016 in order to reach out to various parties to the crisis there and to discuss ways of reaching a political settlement. The African causes gained special priority during the two plans made during the Egyptian presidency to the Council in May 2016 and August 2017, which were the organizing of a field mission to the Horn of Africa and holding a joint Egyptian-Spanish initiative to overview the challenges facing the Sahel. In its capacity as a UNSC non-permanent member, Egypt also hosted the annual consultative meetings with the Peace and Security Council of the African Union during the first term of presidency, in the framework of keenness to enhance area of cooperation between the two sides in vital areas such as peacekeeping and peace building, women, security and peace issues. Egypt also succeeded in issuing a presidential declaration illustrating a strategic partnership between the Security Council and the African Union, that confirmed Egypt's leadership within the scope of the two organizations. Another milestone for the Egypt presidency of the UNSC was an Egyptian initiative to hold a consultative meeting of the Security Council with the League of Arab States, the first initiative of its kind. Egypt was keen to build on the outcome of this meeting to crystallize an initiative to establish an institutional framework of cooperation between the Arab League and the Security Council, which will be utilized during the coming period with the Arab countries that will join the Council in the future.
Egypt opens up to the world. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with world leaders.
أعبر لكم عن خالص الشكر والتقدير على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة.
Reaffirming Egypt's vision, delivering our voice abroad.
لتطوير التعاون الثنائي الاقتصادي والعسكري إلى مستويات غير مسبوقة.
Discussing regional and international developments. Solid and strong relations on the path of partnership and development.
So, as we saw in the report, Excellency, and we were talking about Egypt maintaining security and international peace worldwide, definitely the sense of preserving Arab East Jerusalem, occupied Arab East Jerusalem, and we are always defending an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem, Arab East Jerusalem, as its capital.
Yeah, I think what I liked on your comment is your reference to occupied East Jerusalem. This is the legal term that we have to observe. It's not a religious issue between Arab Muslims and Christian and the Jewish community. It is an occupied territory, and it is the capital of future Palestine in the context of the two-state solution. This is the heritage of peace and security and the future direct negotiation, I hope, between the parties. Apart from that, no unilateral decision will hamper or will change this reality. My second point in evaluating Egypt's position and 2 years membership of as a non-member to the Security Council, I think we carried all our responsibilities, as you mentioned, tabling the decision or the resolution on Jerusalem, although it did not pass because of the American veto against 14 of international communities collectively voting in favor. One can say that Egypt carried its African responsibilities and its Arab responsibilities, and as a very active member of the international community seeking peace and security to stabilize the world. And this sense of responsibility is what will lead Egypt, I'm sure, out of its challenges, being it political, economic, or security challenges. I refer to terrorism because we have a determination, we have unity in our quest to confront terrorism, and I'm sure that we have many partners in the world community that will help in meeting this call to stabilize the Middle East, to move forward, to eradicate terrorism. And a country of the sense of responsibility like Egypt will be always party of any international efforts to stabilize the world and to preserve peace and security. But the economy of the region is maybe for next episode of discussion.
Yeah, but however, we can touch on it because 2018 is a year where we are going to expect more developments economic-wise, and we have more aspirations in that respect too, Ambassador.
Yeah, as our first part of our, or this episode of our discussion was chiefly covering geopolitical issues and conflicts in the region, I think we have to dedicate for socio-economic approach some of our time, because we are looking for reconstruction in this region. We are closing maybe to peace in Libya, maybe in Syria, although it is a bit far to some in Yemen, but we have to work toward reconstruction. We have to call maybe for rehabilitating the region. You cannot imagine the lack of this region in the front of education, in the health front, in even the handicaps front. And we need to gather momentum and to work with international partners to call for reconstruction. Although the guns did not settle yet, but it is time to create a spirit that we want to reconstruct Syria, Iraq, Libya, and maybe Palestine as well. We have to call the international community to be part of an initiative towards pacifying the region, and enough that we have suffered over maybe a decade of confrontation towards cooperation and, I hope, prosperity and stability in the Middle East.
Definitely a very important note too, because when we are looking forward, the future is for reconstruction and building. I guess on that optimistic note, I thank you very much, Excellency Ambassador Dr. Mohamed Hegazy, former Assistant to the Foreign Minister. Thank you so much for coming and highlighting with us more than one important event that has happened in 2017.
My pleasure, Tariq.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. And I would take from Ambassador Hegazy's word, yes, we are for reconstruction, we are for building. Building is hope, hope of rebuilding more in 2018, that 2018 is going to bring all blessings and bring hope also to the different countries around the world. I'm Taghreed Hussein, thanking you all for watching. And this is the last episode in 2017, so we'll see you in 2018 then. All the best.
Hi, my name is Kenzie Al-Dafrawi, and I'm